Okay, so let me pick up on, we're starting a new series. This is I'm going to do the internal, or what's also known as the embedded coding with it. Now I'm going to pick up from our last exercise that we did was the external one. This is what you see as the external with this. Well, and all I'm going to do is, if you can follow along carefully with this, and so I don't have to retype a lot of this code with it as well. So an embedded or internal, the two terms are synonyms of one another, meaning that you will a lot of times hear industry will call it embedded, E-M-B-E-D-D-E-D, or internal CSS. Either terms will work as well with it. I just want to clarify with you that the relationship between these terms with it as well. So you will hear both in literatures and how they will actually use it in industry with it, but they are synonyms with it as well. Let me change. I am using CSS, the external underscore CSS2. I'm going to take the same file at this time. I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm just going to call it a different name, if you can see this with it as well. So this is no longer an external underscore CSS with it. I'm going to call this thing internal with it underscore CSS. And I'm going to leave it as an HTML in here, leave it as an HTML, and click on Save. So what have I done? I basically remove and change. It's the same code in here. Let me just close up this external CSS, and we would just leave one of these things so we can actually see what we're working with. Excuse me. My allergies are acting up really bad. Excuse me for a second. So let me pick up where we just left off a few seconds ago with it as well. So let me, I'm sorry, I'm sucking on a cough drop right now. So, so this is the external file that I just saved as an internal CSS with it. The thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove this link right here. This is the major thing, is that we remove this line 5 right here. Can you see it, line 5 in the code? Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see what I'm talking about. So this is no longer, if it's an internal or embedded CSS, I need to remove that code. I'm going to change the title here. I'm going to call this thing an internal or embedded CSS. It's not a page 1, it's just a page 1 with it, okay? And it's between here, instead of having the whole page linked to a separate page with it, I'm going to put in the style tags that goes between here, that actually takes place in the head tags with it as well. So one of the things I really want to talk to you about is the way how an internal page works with it. And if you come down here into the body, let me come down here. So I'm going to come into the body, give it some spaces between the head tags. I'm going to come in, I'm going to put style. Notice my IntelliSense kicks in. So inside of this, remember what we did with the styles right here? So what I'm going to do is, let me just highlight the style files that we just did over here. The body and the H1 over in the styles. I'm just going to copy that line of code, come over to my internal underscore CSS, and paste those definitions that I just did. I might have to bump a couple of things over like this, okay? Let me straighten this out. And if you see like a dot, you might have to bump it over. It just gets a little kind of skewed over, and have it like this for me, please. I'd like for you to pause if you need to look at this code and tighten up your code with it. So this right now is an internal CSS that I'm going to actually do. Matter of fact, let me add in a couple of more definitions in here that I would like to do. Let's do an H2 since we're at it. And we'll go in, we'll call this thing color. Let's call the H2 tag, let's give it a font of black. Okay, and then let's give it an also margin of left. Let's give that a margin of also 20 pixel. Okay. So that's what I would do, is just to give you a little flavor, a little background with it. So in here, we will, let me move over this a little bit, and maybe I need to zoom out so you can see the rest of the code. So this is the end of, I'm going to give it another some edit to this line right here. So this is my second, instead of saying this is my second, I'm going to say this is my internal or embedded CSS, and the font color should have a font color of black for H1 tag. Okay, so something along that line is what I would like to do, is to give it some definitions like this with it. All right. Okay. So let me pick up where this part comes into right now with it. So I created this block of code right here, this definition in here. We gave it a body. Let me just bump this over so it just aligns properly with it, so you can see what's going on here with it. Is that if you, the style tag, instead of having it on a separate CSS page, we embed, or we basically put this as an internal CSS inside of our, between our head tag with it, and it comes after our title tags with it. So this is our title with it, and it goes between our head tags. That's very important for you to notice. The second part I want you to notice that it's indented in. You notice that how the white spaces are, there's white spaces in here. Well, the purpose of that is it's about readability. It's easier for you to read. It's not only for you to read, but also the next person who comes in to edit this code, they need to be able to read your code with it. So it's more about readability, that you would actually indent in and make your code a little bit more easier to read with it. So that's what I want to point out, is this is, again, this is an internal, what's called embedded, and we're going to demo a couple of stuff with it. So here's the defaulted font color. It says yellow. Let me change this yellow into something else that's a little bit more soothing to the eye. Let's do gray. So if we pick something like a gray color with it, and I want to change the H1 tag, let me change that. I don't like the gray and blue doesn't go very well in the color wheel with it. So when we have a chance, I'm going to talk to you about the color wheel and everything with it. But for now, bear with me. You need something that's contrasting this. So I'm going to use H1 tag. I'm going to use black, which is a contrasting color with it. For H2, I'm not going to use this black right here with it. I'm going to just take this black out and put in another color in there with it. Let's give it a color of in another gray family with it. So somewhere or a contrasting color, like let's say white. Okay, with it. So two colors that you can see that stands out from kind of like a gray background. Maybe white might not be the best choice. Let's say charcoal. I don't like charcoal. Yeah, we could do something like let me see here. Hold on a second. Let me find out. I have to look at the color wheel. I just need a contrasting color. This one has what's called marshmallow. Yeah, let's just do. Let me do this one here. Kind of like a maroon color. Okay. So we'll come down here and we'll look at the H2, and we'll call this. This is my internal or embedded CSS with H2 two fonts. Okay. Control S saves this, and what I like to do is to take this internal CSS and come down here and open up live server with it. So let me show you what that looks like. Hold on. So this is what the internal.css. Now all this is on my local drive right now, and you can see there is a gray in the back with it, and it has font 1. Side H1 is this color with it, and then it's black, and then I have this as my embedded CSS with it as well. Okay, so two types of CSS that you are looking at right now, right? So that's why I want to show you. This concludes the video on instruction on the internal or embedded CSS with it. So this is there's only one part to this video. Thank you.